Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for accepting our interview request. And I would like to ask you some questions related to our country's relations. Japan was one of the first countries to recognize the independence of Uzbekistan, and in 1992, the two states established diplomatic relations. So, Mr. Ambassador, how do you assess the current our political, economic, and social spheres states?
Well, Uzbekistan is a very important partner to Japan based on the rule of law and open and stable international order. Based on these relations back to the time of the Silk Road, there were also very intense exchanges of culture and human beings at that time between the two countries. This year is the 30th memorial year of the since the beginning of the diplomatic relations, and this year especially we have engaged ourselves in order to improve the relationship further and further. Probably first mention that 2019, December, His Excellency President Mirziyoyev has for the first time visited officially Japan. The relation was already strategic partnership at that time, but this important visit has opened the new horizons for our two relations. I have to mention that the right after that visit, Corona virus pandemic has started globally, and in March it finally arrived in this country. So since then, almost 2 years have passed, and during these years, it was for me the most difficult period for me to do my duty as an ambassador, because there have been not so many exchanges of people at the time. Always say a pinch is also a chance. I think mutual support in this difficult period has strengthened the bond even between the two countries. Like Japan has provided vaccinations, medical equipments, emergency budget support, and so on. And on the other hand, Uzbekistan has the people of Uzbekistan have voluntarily provided us medical masks because they heard in the news that medical masks were in short supply at that time in Japan. So I think this kind of mutual support was really a symbol of the friendly relationships between the two countries. And I'm really proud of being able to give the highest decorations of government of Japan to two people who are first Mr. Safayev, the first deputy speaker or chairman of the Senate. Second person is Aziz Abduhakimov. He's a deputy prime minister and a minister for tourism and cultural heritage. They have contributed a great deal to strengthen our bilateral relations. Safayev has long been a leader of the Friendship League of Parliamentarians of both countries, and Aziz Abduhakimov has helped us, so to say, evacuate Japanese people back to Japan. So the government of Uzbekistan has flown a special flight for Japanese residents to go back home during the pandemic period. Those two persons I would like to especially notice and express my gratitude to their contributions. The relationship or exchanges are drastically increasing. For example, the Central Asia Plus 5 dialogue. This format actually was originated from the idea of the government of Japan 2004, and now every country is following suit. Yeah, not copy, but they have the same type of frameworks. And this April, we have that dialogue online, at that time still online, but within this year, I think in December, there's going to be a face-to-face dialogue in Tokyo. I hope your foreign minister will be able to come and attend and contribute to the discussions there. So economic cooperation we have been doing since the independence of Uzbekistan has three pillars. One is assistance support for constructing infrastructure like a power plant, thermal power plant. Secondly, capacity building for those people, not only students but government officials, in order to get acquainted with the system of market economy. And thirdly, we support the socially vulnerable people in the rural areas, especially those people who are suffering from the disaster of ROC. The new projects are also going on, and I think concept, a new Uzbekistan strategy produced by President Mirziyoyev will synchronize also with the project that we are now trying to do or we have done. For example, Japan has contributed to construct the Naboi fertilizer plant, Naboi Azot fertilizer plant, and the opening ceremony was attended by the President Mirziyoyev, and it's a great honor for us. And secondly, we are also providing horticulture products value chain project, and which means that those farmers in the difficult areas will have the finance in order to increase their productivity of their agricultural industry. And especially I would like to mention about the work permit in Japan, newly introduced a couple of years ago, and this allows foreign people to stay at least as long as 5 years in various fields like nursing care or agriculture or service areas and so on. But I think that Uzbek people are very hardworking and very, so to say, sincere people, which can easily adapt to the Japanese society and Japanese working environment. I have worked on the project that the examination will take place here in Uzbekistan, specifically Tashkent, and we were successful since March this year. That in 2 areas, agriculture and nursing care, we are conducting examinations here in Tashkent. I forgot where it is, but Minister of Labor, Mr. Husanov, is very appreciative of this project, and he recently visited Japan in order to persuade, promote the Japanese companies and Japanese government to enlarge the field of the jobs, so the Uzbek people can engage themselves or get the work permit for them.
Very good.
Yeah, I think this is very, very important because actually, it is very important for young people to go to the country, Japan, and Japanese technology or engineering or experiences. After some years, they come back here and they can contribute to the development of this country a great deal. And at the same time, there are so many examples that Japanese companies who hired those Uzbek young people, they get to know what Uzbekistan is and what people in Uzbekistan are. They tend to fall in love with Uzbekistan. I have been receiving so many positive feedback, entrepreneur, Japanese businessmen got interested in doing business here because they got to know those Uzbek people there. So we have been cooperating in every possible areas. You name it, like ROC.
Yeah. You have some cultural projects, like I remember the projects related to language learning centers.
People who are studying Japanese and Japanese languages is increasing. Have a Uzbekistan Japan Center by the assistance of JICA, and there is a Japanese course. At the same time, there are also many private Japanese courses around the country, and especially Mono Center.
Yes.
Yeah?
İşke Marhamat. İşke Marhamat.
Yeah. So they have also Japanese courses in order for the Uzbek applicants to be successful in taking the examination for Japanese proficiency.
When we continue then, I have another question related to media. As a journalist, I'm very interested in the role of media and civil society organizations in Japan. Maybe you can share some experience.
So we have modernized our country in 19th century. We are, so to say, forced to open our country because there were so many superpowers at the time, Germany, Great Britain, France, Russia, United States, and so on. So we have seen that they are now aiming at our country, so to say, transform our country to the base for their, so to say, colonization of the Asian area. We have started our modernization, of course, in industrial level, but at the same time, we have hand in hand political reform were initiated. We call it liberal and the civil rights movement at that time. It was a very Japan was very authoritative country at that time. At the top is emperor, of course, and normal citizens have no right to participate in the politics. A lot of academicians and politicians have gathered their power in order to move the government for more democracy. For example, there is a person whose name is Itagaki Taisuke. He was making speeches in every corner of the society, but also promoted the idea of democracy through media, newspaper, and so on. And he played a very important role in democratization, freedom of media. But he was assassinated by those who who felt offended by the movement, because the emperor is the person who really decides everything. And at that time, when he was about to die, his statement is very, very famous. He said something like, Itagaki, I mean me, Itagaki is going to die, but freedom will not die. This is especially a famous statement in Japan, and this has a great impact to the society who promote the movement for the more democracy, more participation of the people to the politics. It contributed to the opening of the Diet at the time, so 19th century already. The reform policies of His Excellency President Mirziyoyev heading towards very appropriate and excellent directions. He promotes the freedom of media, allows many bloggers to speak out, criticize. And he even said that media is a fourth power, or something like that. And so I think what he has in mind in the reforming the freedom of press and the democratization, I think Uzbekistan, this country, is heading towards the right direction. Of course, it takes time, slowly, I think, and drastic change will have the negative side effect, like when you change the life and architecture or structure of the society, then the people will be very much confused. I think a gradual change is very important for the society, and I think the President's initiative is very appropriate for that sense.
Your Excellency, I would like to know your view. May you indicate some priority areas of cooperation between Uzbekistan and Japan in the near future?
This is what I really wanted to emphasize at most. We have been supporting the development of the country, especially by soft loans with low or no interest at all. It's altogether during 30 years, it reaches almost $5 billion. Yeah, $5 billion.
It's a huge amount.
It's a huge amount. But today, the country, the Uzbekistan, more private investment, like PPP or IPP. I noticed that thermal power plant projects are mainly conducted by the competitions tender and private direct foreign investment, especially from Gulf countries and Turkey also. So when you look at the situation in Japan, we have a huge, assistance in soft loans, but the foreign direct investment is very small, almost non-existence. For example, Russia or China have here about almost 2,000 companies. In Japan, from Japan, 35 or 40. So it's a huge difference. And I would like to make this gap narrower by attracting Japanese investment, Japanese businessmen here in Uzbekistan. And for that, it is very, very important, as I said before, that the people, Japanese people, get to know more about investment, get to know how attractive this country is, which I am after 3 years. So I will leave here next week, and a new ambassador will come right after that, and I will tell him that he will continue this endeavor. After I leave, even if I leave here in Uzbekistan, I'm going to be a fan of Uzbekistan, and I will also play a kind of a public relations ambassador.
We hope we can see you soon here.
No, I'm a Swiss ambassador, but at the same time, PR ambassador of Uzbekistan.
Why not? Why not? Maybe you'll be a cultural ambassador, tourism ambassador.
Yes.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
It will be very nice and glad to see you in Uzbekistan, and thank you very much for your very productive interview.
Thank you very much.
I wish you all the best in your future endeavor and positions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.